What does popular media portray as everyday, yet is far from a reality for the majority of people? Anytime they show people are at work, they're never working. What is their job? Why can't I go work there? What is this mythical land of ease and pleasant conversation by the water cooler? I always think about this when watching The Office. It seems like nobody on that show ever does actual work. Have you browsed Reddit? These people are building cardboard forts and crap. I'm sweating and hurting 2 hours into my 8-hour shift, 120% all day. It boggles my mind. Everybody has a gay friend. I don't have any gay friends. At least, not that I know of. Maybe you are. I mean, I do really like touching and handling wood, but that's usually for woodworking. If you go on vacation, all your friends will go with you. Even if they work a low-paying job that they probably can't afford it, they will somehow find the money and have the vacation time to drop everything and tag along. I'm traveling to insert location here for my job, and my boss gave me 5 extra tickets so we can all go. Sure, I don't have to show up at the job I never really do anything at. Turn on the TV and bam, the news is on, reporting something 100% relevant to your personal life. Love how this was played with in Shaun of the Dead. Arrested Development has my favorite scene of this. Now imagine how dramatic that would have been if it came on right away. People conversing in a normal voice in the middle of a club or other loud venue, or in a quiet place. Kids on TV will talk in a normal voice while they're taking a test or something. How does the teacher not hear them? Same with like action movies when they're trying to be sneaky. Like what? Whisper. I once had a Japanese person ask me why Americans wear shoes in bed. I had no idea what he was talking about until he mentioned that he observed it in a soap opera that he was watching. Some god-awful heathens wear slippers to bed, which I really want to know why. My girlfriend does this sometimes only because she's part reptile and will turn blue and become hypothermic unless she's kept at a constant 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Getting to meet up with friends on your long, booze-filled lunch break. Didn't Friends have a joke about this? Where they all wondered why their bosses disliked them and Phoebe said, "Maybe it's because you were all here in the middle of a Wednesday." Was expecting this comment here. It was Joey who said that. Attractive people everywhere. And the ugly people they do show are not even close to half as ugly as the people you just see going to the grocery store. TV ugly, not ugly ugly. People fighting. People taking punches and not dropping like a sack of doorknobs. And, in action movies, intense grueling fights lasting more than 50 seconds. Like, watch a boxing match. Those guys are out of breath and sweating, and they're in amazing shape. John from marketing isn't going to spring for 2 minutes, climb through a window, and then kick Johnny Karate's ass. Also in action movies, a guy built like The Rock maintains that build in combat in dire circumstances. He'd have to be absolutely hogging all of their rations and food and be exercising for hours on end each day. Broke and in a cool but cheap apartment that's fully decorated to the highest cool kid standards. Not a rat, roach, or creepy neighbor or smells from the Mongolian restaurant you live above seeping into your clothing ever being mentioned. Cool kids get fleas too. In their defense, TVs don't show smell. Also, Luke Cage lived in a crap hole above a Chinese restaurant. More shows are like Friends or New Girl than Luke Cage. 1 bottle of wine is to be shared by 6 people. I'd be like, thanks, where's yours? Or the opposite where they show people drinking suicidal quantities and being slightly inebriated. They down a bottle of JD and have a wild but controlled night and wake up feeling fine in the morning. I drink an entire bottle of JD and I wake up on my bathroom floor in the morning next to a loo full of crusty vomit because I forgot to flush with little idea of what happened the previous night, and then spend the rest of my day in a dressing gown eating cheese and crackers waiting for the inevitable satanic death craps to show their face. It's not fair. How the police solve crimes. Enhance. I know it's supposed to be futuristic and all, but Blade Runner absolutely made me want to claw my eyeballs out. Harrison Ford enhanced his way into the reflection of a reflection off of a reflective object in the corner of the third reflection to get a clean image of someone else in the room. People show up unannounced to have a face-to-face conversation. This used to be the norm until cell phones in my country. None of my friends do this anymore, but my parents' friends do drop by unannounced quite often. This is the worst, in my opinion. Anytime someone shows up unannounced, it's guaranteed to happen when the apartment is at a below-average clean level, I'm in a t-shirt and boxers at most, I'm in the middle of several different activities that are inconvenient to stop, and I haven't had a shower yet. coughing equals dying, and a woman throwing up once equals unexpectedly pregnant. This is one of the most irritating things. I remember in particular in high school, I went to the bathroom and threw up and then went home, and the next day I was apparently pregnant, and 4 different guys claimed it could be them. I was a virgin, thought the rest of my life would be different, but still I feel women can't even mention an upset stomach without everyone around them immediately jumping to pregnancy. It's annoying. Fancy breakfast. I basically just run around searching for something while chewing whatever food I find first in the kitchen. Dude, you're doing it wrong. You've just got to look on your large kitchen table where your gorgeous, uninvolved with the plot stay-at-home wife will have prepared a smorgasbord of waffles, pancakes, bacon, sausages, French toast, strawberries, melon, bananas, and blueberries, with a mug of coffee and a pitcher of orange juice to wash it down. And then they take 3 bites and say, "Oh, would you look at the time?" and put their coat and hat on and leave a full table of food behind. Everyone has an unlimited supply of clothes and never wears the same thing twice. Although in Harry Potter's case, he's usually wearing the same t-shirt throughout the series. Right, around when they decided students involved in the plot never had to wear robes more than was strictly needed. No pimples, unless the entire theme of the episode is about getting rid of a single pimple in time for X. In which case, the person has perfectly clear skin minus a giant whopper of a pimple in a conspicuous place. Babies. They seemingly cease to exist when not directly relevant to the plot. When I had my kids, it was a constant, "Oh crap, who's holding or watching or changing or getting their ears destroyed by Junior?" 20-ish hours per day for about 6 months. Then once they get past the character has a baby season or 2, the kid is magically about 4 and gets a bunch of witty lines, but then still disappears for episodes at a time. This aggravates me with Judith on The Walking Dead. She ceases to exist even during zombie attacks, and I'm wondering who the heck is watching the baby? Tap the keyboard a few times and you're in. Never happens in real life. That's one of the things in shows and movies I don't really mind. Actual hacking or getting into secure systems and the like would be boring as heck to actually show. I like the fake technology, and I think it's almost endearing when the writers at least try to use sensible vernacular for it as well. I love it when they use fake or obviously wrong terminology. It makes me laugh so much. Running into a near miss again later. For example, I ran to Whole Foods once on my dinner break during a crazy workday. As I was standing at the hot bar in a daze, contemplating the Brussels sprouts, a guy came up alongside me and started talking to me. I didn't say much back, and soon we said goodbye as he headed for the salad bar. It wasn't until my walk back to work that I realized he was cute, and he had been flirting with me. I was so zoned out that I hadn't realized it was happening, and now it was too late to go back and try to talk to him again. I spent the next several weeks spending entirely too much money at the hot bar hoping to see him again, but I never did. Whole Foods hot bar man, if you're out there, I still go once a week for the mac and cheese that we bonded over. I'll be waiting for you by the salad bar. I think it's time to quit your job and work at Whole Foods. Most fictional shows are set in upper middle class houses, whether it's a real house or a set, because it's easier to film with that amount of space. I'm middle class and I'm struggling to think of a show where the houses look like my parents' neighborhood. Real life is crap-lit places, mismatched furniture, piles of mail and junk mail on the countertop, coats and clothes piled on another table, an overflowing recycling bin, and dirty dishes. Most of the sitcom places look like model apartments from a realtor. Malcolm in the Middle. Ordering a shot at the bar while having a bad day. When the bartender pours the shot, you say, "Leave the bottle." The bartender gives a, "This guy sure is having a bad day" look and leaves the bottle. Pull this stunt in real life and they will tell you to beat it. Being a bartender? Yeah. Shot of Jack. Actually, just leave the bottle. Sure, that's gonna be $125. This is my biggest gripe with movies showing people drinking a lot in a bar. They never show them paying for it, and sometimes they can just storm out when they encounter other characters. Those drinks must cost a ton, and bartenders won't let them walk out like that. When the police interview people, they're always in the middle of something like painting a fence or cleaning up after their kids. If detectives talk to you, you're gonna sit your ass down with anxiety and walk through it with them. Not saying bye, or something like it, when ending a phone call. Not closing a door after walking into some place. Not locking a car after getting out. Women sleep with a full face of makeup while wearing a bra under a tight shirt. Mine gets slung across the room as soon as I walk in the door and kick off my shoes. My fiancée has a pile of hers next to her side of the couch. She generally comes home and puts on comfy pants and leaves her top alone. She wears nice sweaters or Under Armour type quarter zips, so nothing uncomfortable. Then, usually around dinner, the bra comes out and joins its comrades on the floor. Every single day. Actually using lockers in high school, and not to mention being able to stand there for 10 minutes and chat. I have never seen a hallway with lockers as empty as it is on TV between classes, except after school. That slow amble the main characters do while they chat about their lives means they're coming to class 5 minutes late every time. Also, no school on TV ever has proper stairs. Someone goes up to a bar, orders a drink and takes a sip, and then runs out after 2 sips, leaving most of the drink behind. I get that this is probably a continuity thing, however there is no way I'm ordering a $12 drink and leaving even a sip behind. I am drinking the crap out of that drink to the last drop, for sure. Oh, we're going, let me chug my drink. I have seen a 90-year-old man chug a schooner because his taxi arrived early. You don't waste good alcohol. Waking up in the morning looking like you just walked off a modeling set. I wake up beautiful every single morning. Someone stealing your lunch money, or a group of teens coming by and taking your lunch and eating it, or smacking your food tray out of your hands and flinging it to the ground. Never saw that happen to anyone ever in real life. I saw food getting smacked out of my hands. It was always friends being horrible to friends just for jokes. No bullying was involved. Lots of TV shows feature characters who are quite wealthy, live in big houses in rich neighborhoods, or huge apartments in big cities. It's often better to film in those places. The rooms are larger and easier to light and get a variety of angles. The houses have more locations all in one place, etc. But also producers are out of touch with most people's reality. It's just a banana, what could it cost? $10? I don't actually know how unpopular this is, or if it's more realistic and common in places like classic American small towns or whatever, but shows like Riverdale or Stranger Things or Buffy or Troll Hunters, etc., that showcase high schoolers just getting together at the local hangout spot or each other's houses on a whim outside of school wherever and whenever is an alien concept to me. Back when I was at that age, I lived about 10 to 20 kilometers from my school, and all my friends were about the same distance apart from one another. Sometimes in opposite directions. I got to and from school via the school bus, and organizing an outing somewhere before we were of driving age was quite an ordeal of getting our parents to schedule well in advance to drive us places. The more wholesome and happy-go-lucky freedom I see in these shows looks like it would have made for some amazing childhood memories. Seems like these characters all conveniently live within the same street, conveniently next to the town's CBD. Meanwhile, I was lucky to live in the same postcode as my school friends. Hanging out like that is fairly realistic in the US. I've always had a couple of friends within walking distance and more within 10 to 15 minutes of driving from my house. Also, the driving age is 16 in a lot of the US. So by the mid-high school, you, your friend, or a sibling will likely have a car. That person with the car also basically immediately becomes the coolest person. The majority of people are working class worldwide. Majority of TV worldwide, at least in my experience, is about the middle classes and the rich. Just another way to suppress the proletariat. Class consciousness intensifies. Twins or identical people switching lives with absolutely no one noticing. I get that a very casual acquaintance might not be able to tell twins apart, but if you ever take the time to get to know somebody who's a twin, you would immediately know it's not them. As an identical twin who has switched on numerous occasions, you would be surprised who does and doesn't notice. Don't tease us, we need twin switching stories. Childbirth. On TV, you'll see the expecting woman at home or work or anywhere other than a hospital when suddenly her water breaks. Then they're racing the clock to get to the hospital while the mom screams her head off from labor pain. In reality, most people have a pretty good idea of when their water will break and can get to the hospital without a freakout. She also has to dilate before she can give birth, and that can take some time too. Or that the baby comes out looking like a well-fed 5-month-old and not the reconstituted raisin newborn humans actually look like. Yes, fresh out of the womb babies can't be actors, but still, I notice it every time. Gorgeous women doing seductive squats in gyms with proper lighting, perfect makeup, and not a drop of sweat in sight. I actually see a lot of that in my gym. People are perfectly made up with not a hair out of place and dressed to the nines in the latest fashions while hanging around the house. I usually change straight into an old pair of shorts and a sloppy t-shirt the second I arrive home. Keys placed in the visor of an unlocked vehicle. People do this out in the boonies all the time. I know some people that just leave it in the ignition. My uncle lived and worked on a tiny island, only a few hundred people on it, for a summer. And people used to do this and just borrow each other's cars because there was nowhere to go if you stole them. You'd just hop in, drive to the shop or whatever, leave a few pennies for petrol or top it up when you had some. There were also no police on the island, and the policemen would come over on the postal ferry. So the postman would phone ahead to warn everyone, and they'd hide all the cars away because none of them were taxed or anything. They also used to drive them back from the pub, and the one guy with a big tractor would go around every Sunday morning towing cars out of ditches because wasted old men had run them off the road. I've been to another island that had very similar practices. Wild college parties every night with hot girls in their underwear and no cops or security coming to shut it down. Yeah, sure, wild parties do happen, but the media makes it seem like it's all the time at every college or university. I was at a naked college party one time and got fingered on the balcony while people at the party next door cheered us on. Fun night, par for the course at UCSB. Never ever going to the bathroom. Depends on what videos you watch. Punching someone with no legal repercussions or serious injury. A single punch to the face can do some serious damage, even if thrown by an amateur. You can break a nose, break a jaw, destroy teeth, screw up an eye, and more depending on where your fist lands. You're likely going to break your hand or sprain your wrist, and there will be bruising and swelling. At some point, someone is calling the police, unless you're Buzz Aldrin. Whenever someone smokes a cigarette, they put it out after like 30 seconds. Who has the money to pay for all these barely smoked cigarettes? Popular media doesn't like to show that people mainly work all the time. Also, most of the people on television are dressed much better than the average person, have nicer homes, and are much less bored. Falling in love at first sight happened to me. What they don't tell you is that there's a chance that he or she doesn't feel the same way about you. Then you must move on, but you can't because everything in your life makes you think about her, but you can't be with her. You've got to move on and try to love someone else, but that someone never makes your face light up as she did, and if she does, it's because you thought it was her. Pretty sure you're trolling, but in case you're not, this is not love. Love only comes after getting to know someone. What you're describing is some mix of attraction and infatuation. It is unrealistic and unhealthy to think otherwise. People with science degrees aren't really geniuses. Well, most of us aren't. We're just ordinary people who worked really hard, and we don't know everything in our field, not even in the piece where we're experts in. I love seeing shows where the genius engineer can just invent a thing to solve problems on the spot, but that is not realistic in any way, shape, or form. And even if we are super geniuses, we're not TV-level super geniuses where we can just invent a cold gun to stop the Flash on a whim. All New Yorkers are jerks. All Southerners are toothless rednecks. All black women saying "girlfriend" a lot. All Californians are the Kardashians. All poor people are drug addicts, and all rich people are classy. So basically every stereotype. Random people spontaneously break into highly coordinated song and dance. Happens to me all the time. Everybody listening to and nodding their heads in affirmation with someone, usually the protagonist doing a presentation. In real life, more than half of the people in the boardroom would be on their phones, texting, or just plain browsing social media. Read this while browsing social media in a meeting. That the centrifuge gives you the DNA profile of the suspect within seconds. Literally every crime series shows that. I would say the morning shows like Good Morning America have a sort of happy vibe as they talk about buying the new $200 fashion clothing or making a $60 lunch meal. All this while half the country makes under $51K a year. GMA is essentially for housewives in the tri-state area. I live in Chicago and have for my entire life. Although the violence here is an epidemic, I have not once felt that my life was in danger. Where do you live? I grew up on the south side in Chicago Lawn and in Pilsen before gentrification, and although it didn't happen often, there have been times where I was afraid for my life. 6 people eating a pizza. Where the heck are the other 5 pizzas? People smile and laugh while eating a salad. You need to have more fun at lunch. When someone catches you doing something that looks wrong and it's super easy to explain that it wasn't actually a big deal, but instead you just let them walk away without explaining anything, letting them think that you did that wrong thing, and then in the end when they make up and she forgives you, you still don't explain what you did wasn't actually wrong at all. People doing things on a weeknight other than going home and watching 4 episodes of your current TV show in a row, and then going to bed later than you wanted to, even though you said you were definitely having an early night tonight when your alarm went off this morning. That everyone works 9 to 5 jobs, and Friday means 2 days off after work. This is pretty common, even if not everyone does it. Living in the heart of a major city in a well-decorated apartment as a 20-something with a normal run-of-the-mill job, or better yet, being an artist, musician, another creative type. I mean, yeah, if you have a high-powered corporate career, then you can pull that off in your 20s. But then you're also not the kind of person who has oodles of time for self-exploration, hobbies, and socializing. Case in point, my friend circles include scientists, engineers, programmers, network administrators, architects, and marketing professionals, and not a single one of us lives inside the city. The most successful guy I know has a 2-bedroom apartment that overlooks the loading area of a Home Depot. At least he lives alone though. Everyone else I know has at least one roommate, and most people have more than one. And of the people I've met who actually do live inside the city near the nightlife areas, every single one of them could only live there because they were being financed by their parents. One guy I met at the bar said the only reason he had the apartment that he did was that his parents owned the building. In the heist, con, or undercover shows, people talk with earpieces in voices loud enough that people around them are going to hear or notice. Dealer at the active blackjack table. Are you in position yet? Lady in a ball gown getting champagne from a waiter. Affirmative. I have eyes on the target. Yeah, nobody's going to notice you talking to thin air. Groups of people hang out with each other on a nightly basis, like Friends or Big Bang Theory. They all just go have coffee with each other every night. I unfortunately see my friends maybe once every 6 months because we all have families, careers, and busy lives. Thanks for watching until the end. If you have something to share, please do so in the comments below. Then be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when our next video is available. For more videos just like this one, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.